Belgium, the land of waffles, chocolate, and economic turmoil? It might sound surprising, but behind the charming facade lies a nation grappling with significant economic challenges. Imagine a country where 1 in 20 people can't find a job, and the national debt is bigger than the entire economy. That's Belgium in 2025. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about real people facing real hardships. Young people struggling to start their careers, families worried about making ends meet, and a government caught between a rock and a hard place. This essay will take a closer look at Belgium's economic woes, focusing on 2 key issues: rising unemployment and soaring public debt. We'll examine the factors driving these trends, explore their impact on different segments of society, and analyze the government's response. Understanding Belgium's economic predicament is a wild ride through budget deficits, unemployment lines, and the complex world of international finance. Let's start with the bad news. Belgium's unemployment rate is creeping upwards, reaching 5.9% in March 2025. That's over 500,000 people without jobs. But behind these stark figures lies a more troubling reality. Youth unemployment, a key indicator of a nation's future prospects, stands at a staggering 18.5%. Imagine being a young person in Belgium today, fresh out of school, full of dreams and aspirations, only to be met with a wall of rejection. It's enough to make you want to drown your sorrows in a Belgian waffle, or 10. And it's not just the youth who are struggling. The long-term unemployed, those who have been out of work for a year or more, make up a significant portion of the jobless population. This group faces particular challenges, often lacking the skills and support needed to re-enter the workforce. The human cost of unemployment is immeasurable. Lost income, diminished opportunities, and a sense of hopelessness that can pervade entire communities. It's a social and economic crisis that demands urgent attention. Now let's move on to the other elephant in the room, Belgium's public debt. In simple terms, it's the total amount of money the government owes to its creditors. And let's just say Belgium owes a lot of money. How much? Try over 103% of its GDP. That means the country's debt is bigger than its entire annual economic output. To put it in perspective, imagine maxing out your credit card to buy a car, and then maxing it out again to pay for the insurance. That's Belgium's financial situation in a nutshell. This high debt level has serious consequences. It limits the government's ability to invest in essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. It also makes the country vulnerable to interest rate hikes, which can quickly spiral into a debt crisis. Think of it like this: the more debt you have, the more interest you pay. And for a country already struggling to balance its books, those interest payments can be a real budget buster. Section 4 Government Action, a delicate balancing act. So, what is the Belgian government doing to address these economic challenges? The short answer is, a lot, but is it enough? Faced with mounting pressure from both domestic and international actors, the government has implemented a series of measures aimed at stimulating economic growth and reining in public spending. These include tax reforms, spending cuts in certain areas, and attempts to attract foreign investment. However, these measures have been met with mixed reactions. Critics argue that austerity measures such as spending cuts will only exacerbate the unemployment problem and stifle economic growth. Others question the effectiveness of tax cuts in stimulating investment and creating jobs. Meanwhile, the government has also committed to increasing defense spending to 2% of GDP. While this move is in line with NATO commitments, it has raised eyebrows given the country's already precarious fiscal situation. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing gasoline on it. Not exactly the wisest strategy. Section 5. The bigger picture, global headwinds, and European pressures. To understand Belgium's economic predicament fully, we need to zoom out and look at the broader context. The country is facing a perfect storm of global economic headwinds and specific challenges within the Eurozone. The global economy is slowing, with growth projections being revised downwards. Trade tensions, geopolitical uncertainty, and rising inflation are all contributing to this uncertain outlook. It's like trying to sail a boat in a hurricane. Even the most experienced captain would struggle to stay on course. Within the Eurozone, Belgium faces additional challenges. The single currency limits the government's ability to use monetary policy, such as adjusting interest rates to stimulate the economy. It's like being handed a car with only one gear. You can drive it, but you're limited in how fast you can go and how well you can maneuver. Moreover, Belgium is one of several Eurozone countries under EU scrutiny for exceeding the bloc's budget deficit limit of 3% of GDP. This pressure from Brussels adds another layer of complexity to the government's economic decision-making. Section 6. Policy effectiveness, a mixed bag with uncertain outcomes. So, are the government's policies working? The jury is still out. Some indicators, such as the slight uptick in the employment rate, offer a glimmer of hope. However, the overall picture remains uncertain. The government's decision to raise the retirement age from 65 to 66, for example, has been met with fierce opposition from unions and workers. While proponents argue that it's necessary to ensure the long-term sustainability of the pension system, critics argue that it places an unfair burden on older workers and could exacerbate poverty among seniors. Similarly, the impact of the government's fiscal reforms and spending cuts remains to be seen. While some argue that these measures are necessary to restore fiscal balance, others fear that they will only deepen the recession and lead to further job losses. It's a delicate balancing act, and the government is walking a tightrope between fiscal responsibility and the need to support economic growth and social welfare. One wrong step, and the whole thing could come crashing down. Section 7. Conclusion: Navigating the path to economic recovery. Belgium's economic challenges are complex and multifaceted. There are no easy answers or quick fixes. Addressing the issues of rising unemployment and soaring public debt requires a comprehensive and sustainable approach that balances fiscal prudence with social responsibility. The government must prioritize investments in education, training, and active labor market policies to equip workers with the skills needed in a rapidly changing job market. At the same time, it needs to create a business environment that fosters innovation, entrepreneurship, and job creation. Tackling the public debt requires a long-term strategy that combines spending restraint with revenue-enhancing measures. This includes streamlining government bureaucracy, tackling tax evasion, and broadening the tax base. The road to economic recovery will be long and arduous, but it is not insurmountable. With sound policies, political will, and a bit of that famous Belgian resilience, Belgium can overcome these challenges and emerge stronger on the other side. For more data-driven insights and global market breakdowns, subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay informed, stay ahead. This is Economics FX, where clarity meets strategy. Until next time, trade smart.